Sagittarius. Someone's anger is aimed at your light. Protect your energy and stay grounded. Sagittarius, have you ever felt it? That strange heaviness in the air when you walk into a room. The subtle tension that clings to your shoulders though no one says a word? You sense it even when you're laughing, even when you're radiant. It's not admiration. It's not curiosity. It's a silent, concentrated hostility. The kind that aims not at your actions, but at your essence. Someone somewhere is unsettled by your light. You may have brushed it off as imagination, convinced yourself you were being too sensitive. After all, you're Sagittarius, the philosopher, the optimist, the one who always tries to see the best in people. But lately you've been feeling drained after certain interactions, anxious without cause, strangely unsettled in moments that should bring you joy. That's not paranoia. That's your intuition. The universe is asking you to wake up, not to fear but to awareness. This message isn't about paranoia or enemies. It's about energy, the unspoken currents that flow between souls. There is someone whose unhealed pain has turned into resentment, and without realizing it, they've begun projecting that anger toward you. Not because of what you've done, but because of what you represent. Freedom, authenticity, and light that refuses to be tamed. This weekend we'll talk about how to recognize this energy, how to protect yourself without losing compassion, and how to keep shining, unbothered, unbroken, and unmistakably you. Like, share, and subscribe if you feel this resonance. Not as fear but as truth awakening. Gate 1. When your light becomes a mirror. Sagittarius, light doesn't just illuminate, it reveals. And that is what your presence does, not intentionally but naturally. You walk into spaces and things hidden begin to stir. People feel seen, sometimes healed and sometimes exposed. Because your energy vibrates on the frequency of truth, it doesn't allow illusions to remain comfortable for long. You don't even have to speak for this to happen. Your very being calls out authenticity in everyone you meet. And while many are drawn to this, there are a few who cannot stand it. There is someone around you, perhaps a man, perhaps simply a soul operating in masculine energy, who cannot look at you without feeling small. You have done nothing to provoke this. You have not challenged him, insulted him, or competed with him. But your independence, your effortless warmth, your refusal to seek permission before you shine, it unsettles him. You represent everything he wishes he could be, grounded and free at the same time. He sees how people gravitate toward you without you trying. How your laughter carries a sincerity that cannot be faked. How your presence makes others feel more alive. And instead of feeling inspired, he feels confronted. He looks at you and remembers everything he has not yet faced within himself. Your confidence exposes his insecurity. Your truth threatens his constructed identity. Your light, Sagittarius, becomes a mirror. And he doesn't like what it reflects. But here's what makes this energy dangerous. It hides behind masks. He may smile at you, compliment you, even pretend to support you. Yet beneath those gestures lies a current of resentment that you can feel even if you can't explain it. You sense the tension, the slight tightening of his tone when you speak, the forced calm when you succeed. You notice how conversations with him often leave you doubting yourself, questioning your worth, or replaying words you can't quite decode. This isn't imagination. It's manipulation through subtle energy. And Sagittarius, you've been taught to dismiss it. You've been told, don't be dramatic. Don't take things personally. But this isn't personal in the ordinary sense, it's spiritual. You, the seeker of truth, have crossed paths with someone still trapped in denial. His anger is not about you. It's about the part of himself that your presence forces him to confront. What happens when truth and denial meet? Friction. His energy pushes against yours not because you are wrong, but because you remind him of the light he abandoned. And this is the first lesson of awareness. Not all discomfort you feel around others is your fault. Sometimes it's the echo of their unhealed wounds reacting to your frequency. So what do? You don't need to fight. You don't need to argue. You don't even need to convince him of anything. Your power lies in recognition. Awareness neutralizes manipulation. The moment you name the energy for what it is, envy, projection, resentment, you stop absorbing it unconsciously. It stops seeping into your thoughts, your confidence, your peace. Sagittarius, your open nature often makes you underestimate energetic warfare. You believe in reason, in goodwill, in giving others the benefit of the doubt. And that's what makes you radiant. But there's a fine line between compassion and exposure. The universe is not asking you to become suspicious. It's asking you to become sovereign, to understand that your light is sacred, and not everyone deserves full access to it. There will always be people who misinterpret confidence as arrogance, joy as naivete, generosity as manipulation. But that's not your lesson, it's theirs. Yours is to learn energetic discernment, to know who feels like sunlight and who feels like shadow disguised as charm. When someone's presence repeatedly leaves you heavy, when your intuition whispers that something isn't right, even while they smile, believe it. Energy never lies. You may notice that your body becomes your early warning system. Your stomach tightens when they approach. Your laughter fades around them. You leave their company feeling strangely deflated, as if your soul has been quietly siphoned. That's how you know their energy has been feeding on yours. But awareness breaks that pattern instantly. Once you see it, you can choose to step out of their energetic field. And here's where your Sagittarius nature becomes your greatest shield. You are ruled by Jupiter, planet of expansion, faith, and truth. Your optimism, when conscious, becomes protection. Why? Because darkness cannot penetrate what refuses to operate on its frequency. The moment you return to gratitude, to higher truth, to laughter that isn't forced, you rise above the vibration of envy. And from that altitude, their anger cannot touch you. But awareness must come first. Stop pretending you don't see it. Stop explaining away the tension. Stop assuming that if you stay kind long enough, the energy will fix itself. Light heals only when it is paired with boundaries. Love does not mean letting yourself be drained. This weekend, your task is not to confront or accuse. It's to observe. Watch who celebrates you genuinely, and who becomes silent in your moments of triumph. Notice who's there only when you're struggling, but distant when you succeed. Listen to the subtle tone in their voice when your name is mentioned. These are not coincidences, they are clues. And when you recognize it, don't shrink. Smile. Because now you understand that their anger is confirmation, not condemnation. It proves that your light is strong enough to be felt, even by those who fear it. It proves that your energy carries weight, that your spirit leaves an imprint deep enough to awaken both love and resistance. Sagittarius, awareness is the first gate of protection. You don't need to fight darkness. You only need to stop feeding it. Every time you refuse to internalize someone's bitterness, every time you walk away instead of explaining yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you, you reclaim a piece of your light. So begin there, not with fear but with clarity. Your awareness is your armor. Your truth is your shield. And your light, even when it attracts shadows, is still the most divine thing about you. Gate 2. Protecting your energy without losing your heart. Sagittarius, your energy field is vast, radiant, open, and full of movement. People feel it before they understand it. They are drawn to you like travelers drawn to a fire in the cold. Not only for warmth but for survival. Your optimism, your laughter, your endless curiosity for life. They all serve as a reminder that joy is still possible. But because you give so freely, you sometimes forget that your light isn't infinite when left unguarded. Even fire needs boundaries or it burns itself out. The universe is teaching you now the delicate art of energetic protection. Not through fear, but through awareness and intentionality. You don't need to hide your light. You just need to learn where and how to shine it. There are people who can sit beside your flame and grow warmer. And there are others who will keep taking until they leave you in ashes. Knowing the difference is not cruelty, it's wisdom. The man or masculine energy targeting you carries an unresolved storm within him. He feels powerless in your presence not because you overpower him, but because you remind him of the power he refuses to claim within himself. That's why his attacks are subtle, psychological, energetic. They're not always direct insults or confrontations. Sometimes their pause is too long to be innocent, silences that speak louder than words, compliments that hide tiny needles of doubt. He may say, "I'm just being honest," when what he's really being is cruel. He may frame criticism as concern, as if he's guiding you when he's actually trying to anchor you to his insecurity. He's not trying to help you grow. He's trying to make you question your natural height. Sagittarius, this is not mentorship. It's energetic theft. Every time you lower yourself to make someone else feel secure, you unconsciously hand them your power. The first act of protection is recognition. See the pattern without self-blame. You didn't invite it. You simply stood in your truth. And truth, when embodied unapologetically, triggers those who still live in denial. Your role isn't to fix them. Your role is to maintain your frequency no matter how loud their chaos becomes. Start by reclaiming your awareness. Every morning before you step into the world, remind yourself, I am light, but I am not unprotected. Visualize a radiant sphere of golden energy, the color of your ruling planet, Jupiter, surrounding you. Not as a wall of fear, but as a field of sovereignty. This light doesn't repel others. It simply filters. It allows love, peace, and authentic connection to pass through freely, but blocks manipulation, envy, and resentment. You'll notice that once you set this energetic boundary, certain people will naturally step back. They'll find excuses to withdraw, or suddenly show irritation when they can't access you emotionally as before. Don't chase them. That's the universe cleaning your space. Your light was never meant to be everyone's lamp. At work, keep conversations with this person professional and minimal. Do not feed them emotional details, vulnerabilities, or dreams. Those are sacred materials only safe in the hands of those who love you well. If he tries to provoke you into defensiveness or self-doubt, respond with calm, factual statements. Refuse to perform. Refuse to explain your light. The less reactive you become, the more powerless his tactics will feel. Energetically, resentment feeds on reaction. It wants you angry, apologetic, confused because these states lower your frequency. But your Sagittarius essence thrives in the higher states of freedom, laughter, and faith. Whenever you feel that heavy pull of hostility, do something that reconnects you to expansion. Step outside. Look at the sky. Move your body. Sing, travel, write, pray. Anything that reminds you of vastness will dissolve the smallness of his energy. There's also a deeper truth you must remember. Not everyone who dislikes you is your enemy. Some are simply souls who cannot understand your frequency yet. Their anger is their fear misdirected. And if you allow yourself to hate them back, you drop to their level of consciousness. But forgiveness doesn't mean access. You can forgive from a distance. You can love without returning to the fire. Sagittarius, protecting your energy does not mean closing your heart. It means holding your heart with discernment. You were born under a sign that values truth above all else. And the truth here is that your spirit is too rare to be wasted on endless explanations or emotional negotiations. You are not required to make yourself small so someone else can feel big. You are not responsible for curing another person's insecurity. When his anger tries to invade your peace, remember this. His rage is proof of his disconnection from his own source. And no one disconnected from light can truly harm one who lives within it. His attempts to dim you will eventually backfire because energy, like nature, seeks balance. What he sends toward you will circle back to him for resolution. Your only task is to keep your vibration high enough not to catch it on its way through. This week, practice energetic hygiene the way you'd care for your physical body. After interactions that feel heavy, cleanse your field. Take a salt bath, light incense, breathe deeply. Speak out loud. Whatever energy is not mine, I release it now. Don't underestimate the power of voice. Spoken intention transforms vibration instantly. And above all, keep shining. Your light is both your message and your shield. When you live authentically, no projection can stick. When you know who you are, no distortion can define you. The Sagittarius flame was never meant to flicker quietly. It was meant to travel across galaxies, carrying wisdom born from experience. So don't let anyone's envy rewrite your story. Protect your light, yes, but never hide it. The world needs it. Even those who resent it need it, though they'll never admit it. Your radiance exposes their shadows, and that discomfort is the first step of their healing, not your guilt. Let them face their mirrors. You Sagittarius have already done your work. Awareness has become your armor. Truth is your compass. And your heart, still open, remains your greatest protection. Gate 3. Transmuting hostility into power. Sagittarius, what happens when someone's anger meets your light? You already know that fighting it only drains you, and ignoring it only invites it to linger. So the question becomes, how do you transmute it? How do you turn the density of another's darkness into the clarity of your own evolution? The answer lies not in resistance but in mastery. You were born under a fire sign, and fire, when misunderstood, destroys. But when channeled, it illuminates, purifies, and transforms. The same flame that burns forests can forge gold. That's what your soul is learning now, to use opposition as alchemy. The hostility aimed at you isn't a punishment. It's an invitation to refinement. Every attack you felt lately, every word that bruised your confidence, every gaze that carried envy, every silent act meant to make you doubt your worth, all of them have had a hidden purpose. To teach you where your energy still leaks, where your confidence still relies on outside validation, where your peace still depends on external agreement. Because the truth, Sagittarius, is that no one can truly drain you unless part of you still believes they can. Their anger only enters through the cracks of your own uncertainty. Every time you take someone's projection personally, you unconsciously agree to their version of your story. But when you rise into awareness, when you realize, this anger isn't about me, it's about them, the entire vibration collapses. Their power dissolves instantly because you've withdrawn permission. Think of yourself as a mirror. When a storm of negativity comes, the untrained mind absorbs it. The conscious soul reflects it. Let their words fall back upon their own frequency. Let their resentment return to the field it was born from. You don't need to defend your name. Truth defends itself in silence. You don't need to justify your light. Light just shines. Sagittarius, your purpose isn't to retaliate but to elevate. You can't fight darkness by becoming it. You can't heal insecurity by mirroring it. So instead, use every act of hostility as a reminder to return to your center. When you feel that familiar sting of jealousy aimed your way, don't spiral into confusion. Pause, breathe, then say to yourself, this energy does not belong to me. You'll feel a subtle but powerful shift. The weight will lift, and your clarity will return. That's not imagination, it's sovereignty. Your journey right now is about mastering your emotional response. Fire is reactive by nature, but wisdom teaches it direction. You're learning to burn steady, to keep your flame controlled, warm, unstoppable, but never reckless. This is spiritual adulthood. To let others' chaos rage around you while your inner fire remains undisturbed. You may notice that when you stop feeding the energy, something interesting happens. They begin to unravel. People who thrive on control, envy, or domination depend on your reaction to feel powerful. When you stay calm, they lose their anchor. When you smile instead of justify, their words lose weight. When you continue to rise, they're forced to face their own stagnation. Your peace becomes their mirror. And that's the one reflection they can't handle. There's a higher truth here, Sagittarius. Every soul who resents your light is unknowingly serving your evolution. They are the pressure that strengthens your boundaries. They are the contrast that teaches you clarity. Without them, you might never have learned the art of energetic discernment. Without them, you might have kept giving too freely, loving too blindly, trusting too soon. They are the catalyst, not your curse. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Begin asking, what part of me is this teaching me to honor? Maybe it's teaching you to stop explaining your worth. Maybe it's showing you the beauty of privacy, the power of silence, or the freedom that comes when you no longer need everyone's approval. Remember, transformation doesn't happen in peace alone. It happens in pressure, in contrast, in the heat that forces gold from the ore. And Sagittarius, you are gold. You've always been. But it's only through this friction that you'll realize how pure your essence truly is. Don't seek revenge. Don't waste your fire trying to expose or correct this person. Their own energy will reveal them in time. Darkness cannot hide for long when confronted by truth. All you need to do is stay aligned, to continue showing up with integrity, kindness, and quiet strength. The universe will handle the rest. And something extraordinary happens when you transmute hostility. You expand. You stop fearing negativity because you understand its function. You stop shrinking to avoid envy because you realize it cannot touch what's divinely protected. You stop internalizing others' anger because you've remembered your place in the cosmos. Not beneath anyone, not above anyone, but aligned with Source itself. This Sagittarius is spiritual freedom. To be unbothered not because you're numb, but because you're aware. To walk through tension and not lose grace. To know your power without flaunting it. That's the quiet authority of one who understands energy, not conceptually, but experientially. And soon, you'll notice that the same light which once triggered others will begin attracting those meant for your next chapter. Souls who can meet you as equals, not competitors. People who are not intimidated by your brilliance because they have made peace with their own. These new connections will feel like air after suffocation, like sunlight after storm. They are the reward of endurance, the proof that transmutation always leads to elevation. So keep walking through this purification with your head high and your heart open. You're not being punished, you're being tempered. You're learning how to hold power without losing compassion, how to carry light without becoming the target of your own fears. This is mastery, Sagittarius, and you're already living it. Let others misunderstand you if they must. Their perception cannot pierce your purpose. The fire within you does not burn to destroy, it burns to reveal. And in revealing, it will liberate you from doubt, from fear, from needing to be understood at all. Your only task is to stay true to your light. Everything that tries to dim it is merely teaching you how indestructible it truly is. Gate 4. Calling your power back and restoring inner safety. Sagittarius, after every storm of energy, every conflict, every unspoken hostility, there comes a sacred moment, the reclamation. It's when the dust settles, and your soul looks around to gather the pieces of itself it scattered in defense, confusion, or exhaustion. This is where your true healing begins. Not in revenge, not in understanding the other person's motives, but in calling your power home. You may not realize how much energy you've given away in small invisible ways. Through over-explaining yourself to people who've already judged you, through carrying other people's emotions as if they were yours, through trying to stay lovable to those who only loved you when you were dim. Every one of those acts was a thread of your vitality stretching outward, away from your core. But the beauty of Sagittarius is that your fire is regenerative. No matter how many times it's dimmed, it never truly goes out. It's self-renewing. All it needs is your attention. So right now I want you to imagine this. Take a deep breath, close your eyes and see golden threads of light, your own life force, returning to you from every person, place, and memory where you left fragments of yourself behind. Watch them return, gently, lovingly, without resentment. You don't need to punish anyone. You just need to come home to yourself. Because here's the truth. Your energy belongs to you. Not to the man who resents you. Not to the past that drained you. Not even to the idea of who you were trying to be for others. It belongs entirely to the luminous, unfiltered, magnificent being that you are when you're free of external narratives. And the moment you claim it, the universe reorganizes around your sovereignty. There's a subtle shift that happens when you reclaim your light. People who were feeding on your openness lose their hold. Situations that once drained you begin to dissolve. Even your thoughts become lighter. You feel your inner compass recalibrate toward peace instead of performance. That's the vibration of your natural state, freedom. Sagittarius, freedom is not just about travel or change of scenery. True freedom is energetic. It's the ability to move through life without being trapped by other people's expectations or projections. And this kind of freedom requires something radical, emotional detachment without spiritual disconnection. You can love someone and still not absorb their pain. You can forgive someone and still not allow them back into your energy field. You can care deeply and still choose yourself. That's not coldness, it's divine maturity. It's what happens when compassion evolves beyond martyrdom. The next few weeks will bring opportunities to practice this new level of awareness. You might encounter moments that test whether you've truly detached from the anger directed at you. You might hear gossip, or feel an old trigger resurface. But instead of reacting, you'll notice a surprising calm. You'll think, I don't need to fix this. That's the sound of your power settling back into place. There's also something important about trust that's being restored here. When you've been the target of envy, betrayal, or hidden hostility, your nervous system learns to stay alert. It's like living with an invisible alarm that never stops humming. Even when you appear calm, a part of you remains tense, expecting another hit. But Sagittarius, the universe is asking you to release that hypervigilance. You're safe now, not because everyone around you is harmless, but because you've learned how to recognize and protect your light. Safety doesn't mean control. It means self-trust. It's the deep knowing that no matter what energy approaches you, you can handle it with grace and clarity. You're no longer the naive giver who mistakes attention for love. You're the conscious lightkeeper who understands that discernment is not fear. It's reverence for your own soul. Every time you ground yourself in this truth, your aura expands. Your energy field becomes clearer, more vibrant, more magnetic, and paradoxically more protected. Because real protection doesn't come from building walls. It comes from being so rooted in your essence that nothing foreign can latch onto it. You vibrate too high for manipulation to stick. You glow too authentically for envy to find purchase. And then something extraordinary happens. Peace becomes your new default. Not the fragile kind that depends on everything going smoothly, but the kind that endures even when chaos swirls around you. The kind of peace that says, I am not what happens to me. I am the awareness witnessing it. That's enlightenment in motion. That's Sagittarius elevated, the philosopher who has turned experience into wisdom and pain into prophecy. The universe often sends hostility your way not to punish you, but to initiate you into this very level of mastery. It's how you learn that your energy is your most sacred currency. To spend it consciously, to protect it fiercely, and to share it only with those who value it. And once you learn this, you stop being reactive. You become a transmitter of peace in a world addicted to noise. So tonight, Sagittarius, when you lie down, whisper this. I call back all versions of myself that learned to be small for safety. I forgive myself for believing that dimming my light would protect me. I reclaim my joy, my strength, and my radiance. I am whole, I am free, and I am untouchable in truth. Say it until you feel your chest soften, until the tension begins to melt, until you feel the quiet warmth that tells you, the light has returned home. From this point on, your journey is not about proving your strength. It's about living it effortlessly. The man who resented your brilliance was just a shadow figure in a larger story. A teacher disguised as an antagonist. His anger was a mirror, showing you where you still sought validation, where you still feared rejection. Now that mirror has served its purpose. You can walk away without hatred, knowing he has no real power over the sun. You, Sagittarius, have always been fire, but now you are tempered fire. You've learned to glow without burning out, to shine without seeking approval, to love without losing yourself. And that is the ultimate protection. A heart so radiant, no darkness can find its way in. Conclusion: the return to light. Sagittarius, your path has never been about avoiding darkness. It has always been about remembering that even in the deepest shadow, you remain the light. What you've faced, the hostility, the silent envy, the subtle attempts to make you doubt yourself, were never meant to break you. They were meant to reveal the power that was sleeping within you. And now that power is awake. The universe didn't choose you to endure pain endlessly. It chose you to understand energy deeply. You've learned to sense what others cannot see, to read between silences, to protect without hardening, to forgive without forgetting who you are. You've learned that love without boundaries is exhaustion, and boundaries without love are prisons. Now you walk the middle path, radiant, grounded, sovereign. The man or energy that once tried to pull you down no longer has access to you. Not because you've built walls, but because you've risen beyond his reach. Your frequency is too high, your light too steady. You no longer react, you simply exist peacefully in your truth. And that peace is your loudest power. So Sagittarius, as this message closes, breathe in deeply. Feel the golden warmth of your spirit expand through every cell. You are not just surviving this chapter. You are transmuting it into wisdom that will guide countless others. Leave a comment below and declare your light. I protect my energy and shine without fear. My light is sacred, and it always returns to me multiplied. Because each word you speak now becomes an energetic decree. And when you share it, you give permission for others, those still dimming themselves for comfort, to rise beside you. Like, share, and subscribe if your soul felt seen here. You're not just listening, you're remembering. You are the flame, Sagittarius. And nothing, absolutely nothing, can put out a fire lit by truth.